In this video, I'm gonna talk about the number one thing you absolutely must do in order to build a successful Amazon FBA business. Stay tuned. What's up, fellow drivers? I'm glad to have you back. And if you're new to this channel, my name is David Liggins II with no rep limits. On this channel, I give you a deeper inside look about how I'm building my business on Amazon, also known as Amazon FBA. I'm currently documenting my journey going from $0 to $100,000 in revenue a month. I launched those brands in the middle of November of 2018, and I'm currently doing over $40,000 in revenue. In my last video, I talked about how I'm launching 4 brand new products in June and how that may get me closer to $100,000 a month and my first goal of hitting $500,000 in a year. If that's something that interests you, you already know what to do. Become part of the team and hit that subscribe button, like crew, you already know, give it a thumbs up. All right, let's get started. So I've mentioned this topic before, or I talked about it briefly in some of my previous videos, but this is something that has constantly come up in conversation day after day after day. And I realized that, you know what, this is probably something I really need to address specifically, go a little bit deeper in what I'm talking about. Amazon is an amazing opportunity if you haven't figured that out already. That's how you probably found this channel, and you looked at different content creators online and what they're doing with their businesses. Is super exciting, okay? But there's a long path in order to get to where those guys are going who are doing the multi-million dollars a year, right? That's where you want to be, obviously. So I know what you may be thinking. What's the number one thing that you must do in order to be successful with Amazon? You're probably thinking product research, competitor evaluation, make sure you're building your listings, understanding Amazon, how to rank. Just a flurry of things, getting your reviews, understanding all these different tools that you need, etc. Those are absolutely and critically important in order for you to be successful at Amazon. But there are things that you actually need to do prior to that in order to be successful. And it's not sourcing, it's not learning Chinese or speaking to suppliers or anything like that. And it's interesting how this comes about, because I've talked about this briefly in videos, but lately or recently, when people ask me like, what am I doing and how am I doing it, the first thing they say is like, so why'd you quit your job? And I tell them, it's like, well, I wanted to kind of just step away from the corporate world and do something on my own that I feel like could give me the financial and time freedom that I want to achieve. And the path that I've chosen so far has been e-commerce, selling things online to people, building brands, etc. And Amazon being that launch platform. And they're like, oh, they're really intrigued. Oh, tell me a little bit more about it, And it's like, well, I ended up in corporate, doing, graduated, got my master's, etc. And, got the corporate job, been in corporate for almost 13 years and decided to leave. I felt like it was a great opportunity for me to leave last year in March of 2018. And the next thing they say is, oh, good for you. I wish I can do that. And I'm thinking to myself, you absolutely can. Why can't you do it? Like, good for me, it could be good for you also. And it's the mentality that people are very comfortable in their current positions. And I understand, there's people that have families and children, they may not be thinking about themselves and earning from themselves, etc. There's a whole bunch of things that you have to consider when you're talking about leaving a decent paying job in order to pursue something that is not guaranteed. And it's like, I tell people that's like, oh, I wish I can do that. I wish I can do that. And I tell them, you absolutely can do it. You just have to figure out why you're doing it. And I talked about motivation in one of my earlier videos. Side note, it's pretty cringy, but I talked about motivation in one of my early videos. And one of the things I was really like kind of harping on is that, or trying to make clear, is that you have to have your motivations. And guys, this is actually not the number one thing that you must do in order to be successful with Amazon, but it's something that is really important, and I'm going to get to it. You have to understand why you're doing it. What is it that you're trying to achieve, and what are you willing to sacrifice in order to get there, right? Once you understand that, then it becomes more clear on what you need to do and what path you need to take in order to achieve those goals. But that's not all. The number one thing that you must do in order to be successful building a business on Amazon is accepting fear. Now, I know a lot of people will say, oh, you got to get past your fear, or you got to have no fear, etc. I don't really believe that. Fear is a humbling emotion, if you will, right? I think a certain amount of fear is good for people because you understand that there's risk involved. You understand that there's something to lose. But what you can't do, which I've been completely guilty of, is let fear drive your decisions. And even to this day, I still have a little bit of fear, spending $20, $30, $50, $60,000 on a new batch of product, talking to a new supplier and wiring them money, whether or not my listing is going to get shut down for some reason. It could be anything, right? But I realize that it's not about getting over that fear. It's not letting fear drive my decisions. And the biggest thing is that accepting that there's going to be a little fear. And fear is natural when there's things that you're going to risk. And there's a certain level of risk with entrepreneurship. So if you accept that fear, then there's nothing that's really going to hold you back in order to try to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. And that took me a little bit of time to kind of get past. Family, there's a lot of things. I put a lot of things on the line, etc. I was, so scared and fearful of losing these things that I've built for my life over the last 13 years, working in the corporate world. But I realized that in order for me to achieve something greater than what I have right now, there were things that I was going to have to sacrifice and put on the line. It's a calculated risk, but it was still a sacrifice and things that I had to put on the line. And one of the biggest things that people are worried about is losing money. For all the people who are successful in this business, they've risked money in order to get to the place that they are right now. They had to accept the fear, accept the fact that whatever thousands of dollars that they put into this business, they could potentially lose. But once they accepted that and they took action, that was the first step for them to change their lives in a meaningful way. That's really the key thing in order to get started with Amazon. You're going to look at content, you're going to find different creators and resources, courses. Sorry, my dog is sneezing over here. All right, so my dog is just sitting right in front of me, just staring at me. She's such a creeper right now. Oh my gosh, anyways. So distracted. So back to the point, guys. What I'm trying to drive home to you is that in order for you to be successful with building a business on Amazon or any commerce or any entrepreneurial venture that you want to dive into, you have to accept that fear. You have to get started. In order for you to get started, you have to understand what it is that you're trying to achieve. What goals are you trying to accomplish? Because when things get tough, and they do get tough, when things are difficult, when you run into these problems and these hurdles, the only motivation that you're going to have is achieving your goals. It's not going to be anybody else. It's not going to be the support that you may get from a loved one, although those things do help. But you have to internalize and understand for yourself what you're trying to achieve, because that is what's going to keep you going. And once you understand why you're doing this, then you have to accept that fear and take action. It's as simple as that. Because if you don't take action, there's absolutely no way you're going to start this business, and there's absolutely no way that you're going to be successful. All right, guys, I hope you understand how important accepting fear is. I didn't want to harp on it too long, but it's something that I needed to discuss because it always comes up in conversation about why I'm doing what I'm doing. Anyways, guys, if you made it this far, I really appreciate you. Go ahead and become part of the team and hit that subscribe button. Like crew, you already know what to do. And you already know what I say. Keep driving your business to success. All right, I'll catch you at the next one.